Good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for attending today's monthly UK demonstration. It is 11 a.m. in Dublin today, and it is Wednesday, February 15th. So let's go ahead and kick things off with a question, and that's, what are we talking about today? Why are we speaking? And ultimately, as the saying goes, brand or be branded. So in a nutshell, there's no other place on the internet that shows both employer and employee perspective on why your company is going to be an employer of choice. And I'm of the belief that the best employer brand is a combination of the employer value proposition and employee value proposition. And then if you add that to your corporate and commercial brand reputation, I think you have what ultimately is going to encapsulate an accurate employer brand. So we're going to dig into that today on our webinar. But before we talk about how Glassdoor works, let's go ahead and talk about some technical tips and webinar housekeeping for everyone. All right. So before we get started, you can connect to audio using your computer's microphone and speakers. Alternatively, you can also select the Use Telephone option after joining the webinar. And then all lines, with the exception of mine, will be muted, and that's just to avoid any background noise. That being said, if at any point during the webinar you do have questions, you can and you should share them. If you navigate to the right side of the screen, there's a question. Go ahead and pop them in there. I typically get a range of questions, some of them which I'll answer throughout the webinar, but in the interest of time, I'll go ahead and answer the majority of the questions at the end during our Q&A. And then finally, I can confirm that a recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel should you want to share with your colleagues and or peers. So that will be sent out today post-webinar. And then for all you social butterflies out there, we do encourage you to join the conversation online using our hashtag, and that's hashtag GDChat. Also, you can tweet us at Glassdoor UK. Great. Well, let's get started. And first, I'll just start by introducing myself. My name's Lauren Hying, and I manage the EMEA Sales Development team here in Dublin. As you can see, here's a picture so you can put a face to the voice. And a little bit of background is I've been at Glassdoor. I actually just had my 2-year anniversary, very exciting. And I started out here as a sales development representative, and I now manage the sales development team that launched in Dublin on February 1st of last year. And then as you can see today, I also help our marketing team in spreading the word about Glassdoor. So as a little bit of insight for you listeners out there, we've had an incredible rate of growth, which was fueled by the Google-led $70 million round of funding that we took at the start of 2015. So some of you would have also seen the news of our launch in Ireland in February of last year. This also follows our launch in Germany, France, Netherlands. All have happened in the past year and a half. So it's exciting times here. I quickly want to go over what our agenda for today is going to be. First, we will speak about today's candidates and their decision-making process. Then we'll spend some time talking about your employer brand, what is an employer brand. Then I'll go ahead and share with you some of the capabilities of Glassdoor and some of our offerings. From there, we'll do live decide, and I'll show you what this actually will look like. And then finally, we can open up for Q&A at the end. And remember, on the right-hand side, you can go ahead and pop in any questions at any point. So today's candidates spend more time researching companies than during their job search. So essentially what this means is that the days of blindly applying for a job are no more. This is because today's candidates treat their job search as a critical decision, one where they are going to rely on reviews, research, and referrals before making a decision on where they want to work. So job search experience has changed. This is because how we successfully attract talent today has changed. Job seekers behave much like consumers do today. We have more access to information than ever before. So now in the same way, job seekers are carefully considering their choices. So if you think about the way we all go online to research before we buy, so we Google search, you go to Amazon, TripAdvisor, the list goes on, and weigh up your options before making a purchase, or in this case, choosing a job. So some stats for you are 81% of shoppers conduct research online before buying, and then 7 in 10 seek out reviews before purchasing. And we found that this is even true for relatively insignificant decisions. We do a ton of research first. So when buying something online, we go to at least 3 websites before we actually make the purchase of the product. So think about the kind of research we do before making an incredibly important life decision. For example, and for the purpose of today's webinar, like choosing a job, on average, we're finding that job seekers use 18 sources and look at 7 to 8 reviews to research a company before they apply. So essentially what this means is that job seekers today want to learn critical information about a company before applying, interviewing, or accepting an offer. They're wanting to get that window to learn what it's like to really work inside and for that company, and to get an idea of what that company culture will look like. And I mean, who could blame them? You spend 40+ hours a week there. You want to make sure that you're making the right choice. So both job seekers and consumers are consulting a variety of sources that provide context to the search. So yeah, today we're talking about Glassdoor, but think about Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. And then obviously today we're talking about Glassdoor. What's really important here, and what I want you as the employer to take away, is you need to be involved in the conversation going on where job seekers and consumers are looking at your company. So because of the wealth of information on the internet, job boards, professional networks, and social media, candidates have set very high expectations. So job seekers want way more information than just that basic job description and then the click and apply. We're finding that job seekers are looking at very specific things, and the top 5 things that they're looking to know when they research your company are compensation, benefits, mission, values, and the company's vision, basic company information, and then also what makes it an attractive place to work. Why would they want to work there? So they're not just wanting to know this from the company's perspective, they want to hear everyone's perspective. So although friends and family are still the most trusted, content provided by employees is the #2 trusted source of information on a company. And we're finding that the job seeker doesn't demand perfection, but they do expect a level of transparency and authenticity from employers. And from a Glassdoor survey from 2014, 90% say they want to work for a company that embraces transparency. So we all know that where you work is one of the most important decisions you'll make in your life, and your candidates feel the exact same way. So the way candidates search for jobs today has obviously changed because of that need. So let's take a little look at how it has changed and what that behavior looks like. So I want to share a few stats with you. So 83% of recruiters describe today's talent market as candidate-driven. Candidates are weary of employer messages. Employees are 3 times more credible than the CEO when talking about work conditions. And then 75% turn to peers before making their own decisions about a brand. And you can see the source of these stats and go ahead and search to find our details online. But that's some powerful information right there. We obviously know that today's candidates are really doing their research and looking into lots of resources before they make a decision about a job and a company brand. So the reality is that people want and expect transparency. And every day we're making better and more informed decisions based on reviews. And this is because often in the past, expectations just didn't meet reality. As consumers, we all turn to each other on sites, as I mentioned earlier, Amazon, Yelp, Zoopla, Expedia, and TripAdvisor to make more informed decisions about a variety of things, product purchases, where to eat, property, and our next holiday. So Glassdoor is no different. Now with Glassdoor, applying the same idea to employment, we're helping people make decisions through the power of information transparency. We're passionate about it, and our personal mission is to help people everywhere find jobs and companies that they love. And ideally, people can do this by using the resources that we do offer on Glassdoor. So let's go ahead and walk through a typical candidate decision-making process. And I'll go ahead and highlight every step where Glassdoor influences your candidates. So let's go ahead and start at the top of the funnel. And this is the awareness, where the majority of employers like you invest in channels like LinkedIn, Indeed, and staffing firms. Glassdoor provides job advertising to increase candidate flow in this area as well. So just that initial awareness. And then once the candidate is made aware of your job, the next question they ask is, do I want to work for that employer? And this is where Glassdoor's unique value starts for the employer. Glassdoor is the only vendor that is able to influence the candidate at every step as they consider you as an employer of choice. We're able to do this through infusing your company page with employees' reviews, interviews, salaries, benefits, and ratings with their unique employer brand so that candidates can make smarter and more informed decisions. So as you can see, we're affecting candidates from that awareness piece, consideration. They're able to prepare for your interview by going on Glassdoor, researching previous interview experiences, down to the next point where they get an offer, can go ahead and benchmark that on Glassdoor versus other offers for either competitors or within your own company, and then finally hire. So they can read the reviews that previous employees and current employees have put on there to decide, is this a culture I see myself in? Is this a company I see myself working for? So Glassdoor is able to have this value because we have over 13 million reviews on over 600,000 plus companies. Also, we have an incredibly high amount of candidate engagement. So 89% of our users are open to searching for a new opportunity. So I know people maybe just have viewed Glassdoor as a place for potentially passive candidates, but Glassdoor is a place where the job seekers, and an overwhelming amount, almost 90%, are either active or open to something new. So I'll go ahead and answer a timely question, and that is, what exactly is an employer brand? We've talked a little bit about the candidate journey, a little bit about how Glassdoor can help with that. Now let's go ahead and move on to what exactly is your employer brand. And I'm going to go ahead and steal a quote from the founder and CEO of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and it's, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. And the room today very much is the internet and social media. And then for the purpose of our conversation today, I'll say that that room is Glassdoor. And so ultimately, if you're not online telling your story, someone else is going to go on and do that for you. So as you as an employer, I have a couple things for you to think about in regards to your employer brand. So ask yourself first, would your current employees recommend your organization to a friend? What are job seekers saying about you on social media? And then what is your company rating on Glassdoor? So I have a couple interesting stats for you that will really kind of further into that, go into employer brand and why it's important. And as you're thinking about those questions that I just asked, this is something also for you to consider, is that 69% of workers surveyed would not take a job with a company that had a bad reputation, even if they were unemployed. And then a staggering 84% would consider leaving their current jobs if offered another role with a company that held an excellent corporate reputation. And I share these stats with you because the reality is job applicants have access to more information about potential employers than they ever have before. So now candidates can weigh their options, and as I mentioned earlier, they have the opportunity to compare benefits and salary and decide which opportunity and employer are right for them. And so in today's job market, it's as much about the candidate interviewing you nowadays as you are interviewing them. So now when top talent comes in for an interview, you can think about why this company is the best fit for them. What you could also do is do research on Glassdoor on the company they came from and let them know how your company might be better or differentiate themselves in certain areas to potentially win over that candidate. So I know I've told you a little bit about the candidate journey, a little bit about employer branding, what that means for you, and I'm sure at this point you're kind of wondering, okay, what exactly does Glassdoor do? So I do briefly want to touch on our solutions. So I like to always preface this by we don't really have a one-size-fits-all approach, and we create tailored solutions based on each company's individual needs. So having said that, our product line has three main components, and I do like to mention, as you can see, the first one up is job advertising. That's actually the fastest growing component on Glassdoor. And in our job advertising, our goal is to target our high quality, well-researched candidates based on their search behavior and profile information. So what that means for you is giving you the most relevant and qualified candidates, i.e. not wasting time sifting through a resume database or unqualified applicants. And then next we'll go over to the display advertising. The purpose of the display advertising is really to help you build your brand awareness and influence job seekers throughout the website. And then in the middle right there we have the enhanced profile. And this helps companies influence job seekers and tell their story. And I know the focus today is on branding and how to improve that, but I do like to mention, a lot of people ask what are some of the main differentiators between the enhanced profile and the free employer account, and just briefly to address that, with the enhanced profile, Glassdoor gives companies full real estate of their existing Glassdoor page to include a why work for us section, links to social media, post all of their open positions, and remove any competitor logos, and essentially just include any pertinent information they want job seekers to see when they're researching their company. And so what that means for you is the employer is putting your open positions in front of the most relevant and qualified candidates and giving them an inside scoop on what it's like to work there from your perspective, and then as well as the employee's perspective. And if you do want to learn more about our employer branding or display advertisements, we have another webinar, and happy to send you information on that if you want to delve deeper in. Also, we have our access to analytics. So what this means for you is that you're able to know a ton of information about the types of job seekers that are coming to your page. And not only just know that information, but you can benchmark that against competitors and over time. And then also, the really neat thing about our analytics is that you can benchmark employee sentiment and also see how you can, areas that you're doing really well as a company and maybe potential areas of improvement. So this isn't just for you to get insight into the job seeker, it's also a really great way for you to get insight into your company culture and see how you're stacking up. So great. At this point, what I'd like to do is I'll take you live to site and walk you through both a branded profile and an unbranded profile, just to give you some differentiators. I also want to run through a couple of the things you can do today for free through your free employer account, some quick wins. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so first I'm just going to start a Google search and put working at, we're just going to do a little Google search. As you can see, Glassdoor will pop up in one of the first few on the browser. So first things first, I'm just using DS Smith's example. They are not a partner. And how do I know that? You can see right here, one, they are not actively engaged with Glassdoor. You can see this little red dot right here. So you today as an employer can claim your free employer account to make sure the information on Glassdoor is accurate. So I recommend that's the first thing you do is to claim your account. There's a couple other things that you can do. First, let's run through the page. Here's their basic company overview information, company rating, CEO rating, and then you get to the bottom and you see that they have their company reviews. So things that you can do today are, one, update this logo right here, your company logo, make sure it's accurate. Update your company overview, make sure that that information there is correct. Scroll on down, make sure your CEO photo is correct, the name is correct. Lastly, you can add some company photos. And then, actually that's not lastly. Lastly, and probably most importantly, is you also have the opportunity to respond to reviews. So once you claim your free employer account, you do have the opportunity to go into there and respond to the existing reviews on Glassdoor. A couple things I want to highlight before I jump over to one of our partners pages is that, as you can see right now, I'm being distracted by jobs right here on the right-hand side. So I'm in sales, so it's no surprise that I'm being targeted with sales jobs. I'm in Dublin. You can also see that I'm being targeted with jobs in Dublin. So as I mentioned earlier, we are targeting candidates based on their profile and their behavior. So it makes a lot of sense that I'm being targeted from these jobs, but I'm also being distracted from DS Smith by these other opportunities. So as you can see, they don't have full real estate of this page. Although I highly recommend for you all that you do, as I mentioned earlier, join the conversation and claim this page. Okay, I'm going to hop over to ARM Holdings, who's one of our partners, who has kindly let us use their profile as an example. So right off the bat, you can see they have a branded cover photo that actually turns into a video. Very cool. And they've highlighted that they're actually on Glassdoor's Best Places to Work, so highlighting an award. And then as I scroll down, I can see that they have full branding of this page. All of their positions are the right-hand side. They have a featured review, so all of our partners can choose their review that they like and filter that to the top of the page. And as you can see here, here's a great example of a response to a review. And I'm going to go to the overview section, because that's where I want to be, to show you, okay, so here we go, some awards, and then company updates. And then they actually have a video right here highlighting an inside look of working there, why join ARM. And then this is my favorite, actually, the why work for us section. So they've highlighted 5 areas that they want job seekers to know about: their impact, early careers, students, and benefits. And that's all curated by ARM to represent them as an employer, and it's essentially, as we're talking about today, their employer brand, their employer value proposition. So go all the way down, and I actually don't see a review until I come to the bottom portion. But the great thing to see here is just that ARM Holding has full real estate of this page. It's connected to all their social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+, Instagram, and here are all their open positions. And really quickly, just give you a quick insight into the analytics, if it will load for me. So I can see traffic. And then once I go in that, I can go a little bit deeper and look at candidate demographics. I also can, so I can see the top companies people are researching when they're also researching my company. So if they're researching I'm holding the top company, they're also going to Expedia. I can see the top job titles being searched, and also by location. So this is the tip of the iceberg, just the very basic information that you can see with Glassdoor. And as I said, you can see a whole more wealth of analytics once you dive into this area. So take a look here, and then we go back to DS Smith. You can obviously see there are some huge differentiators here. So big things for today, though, is to claim your free employer account and make sure that all the information that's on Glassdoor today is up to date and accurate. So I'm going to hop back into my presentation. Great. So as I showed you, we do have free options that you should go on and take advantage of today. We also have plenty of additional free resources available once you log into your account as illustrated above. You'll find everything from webinars on demand to free ebooks and guides. And we're really trying to create a portal that employers can use as a place for thought leadership. So I would encourage you to go on there and explore, and got a lot of great information. So once you've claimed your free employer account, go ahead and manage your company information, respond to reviews, understand the demographic of your candidates coming to your page, and then go ahead and put some of your competitors in there and benchmark your brand awareness and see how you stack up. So in conclusion, Glassdoor helps you brand, influence, and hire. We want to help you amplify and communicate your employer brand, EVP, and ultimately hire and influence quality candidates. Today we spoke specifically about the enhanced profile and job solutions to help you overcome your challenges and accomplish your goals. But next steps, again, I know I've said it a couple times, is claim your free employer account so you can access some of the data I highlighted today. And then should you require a more detailed demo, please reach out to me and I'm happy to connect you with the appropriate person. And then lastly, I can confirm that you can expect an email from us within 24 hours. I can also confirm that a recording of the webinar will be available on our YouTube channel. And then if you have any pressing questions, now's a really good opportunity to ask them. We'll stay online for a few minutes to address any questions you might have. But for those of you leaving the call now, thank you very much for joining and enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm going to go ahead and look at the questions and I'll be right back with you. So the first question, that's a really good one. It's what's the best approach to responding to reviews? I'll briefly go into that. We do have more resources in our portal on how to go about responding to good, bad, and ugly reviews. But we definitely do recommend responding. And what we recommend is taking it internally to your senior leadership team and sitting down with them and talking about the reviews and how you want to go about responding to them so that you're all united in your approach. I know for Glassdoor particularly, we have someone from each department. So like our VP of Marketing, our VP of HR, our CEO, our Chief Revenue Officer will respond directly to the specific reviews, left by sales, left by marketing, left by HR, so that each department is addressing the reviews that are most relevant to them. And on that note, we always recommend taking kind of the high road approach. So firstly, it's not a back and forth conversation. Once you respond, they have no opportunity to write back. But we do, always recommend thanking the reviewer for their feedback and then addressing any of the questions or issues addressed in that response. But definitely, first and foremost, get together with your leadership team and figure out, how you want to, as a team, respond to them. So where would you start when building your employer brand is the next question, and that's a great one, and I think I said it a couple times today, is go on and claim your free employer account on Glassdoor and also look at the information that job seekers are saying about you. I also recommend doing a couple Google searches and put like working for, like I said, DS Smith or Arm Holding, and see how job seekers today are consuming information about your company. And I think that can give you really good insight into how your employer brand is interpreted by job seekers and researchers out there today. And so I think that, making sure that you're claiming those social media outlets, though, first and foremost, is most important. It looks like I am actually at time right now, so I want to let you guys go. Thank you again for carving out time today. I hope that you found the session useful. If there's any questions of yours, I know I didn't get to all of them that I didn't answer, please feel free to reach out to me directly at lauren.hying, H-E-Y-I-N-G, at glassdoor.com, and I'm happy to respond to you. So enjoy the remainder of your day, and thanks so much for tuning in.